Yeah, you know what? I think for myself, the coaches, the players that I've been in contact with, there's been a detachment, and there's been some travel. I've kind of been at some different events, some football games and things like that. And I think it's encouraged by me in the sense of it's been 2 great long years, and what we went through this past season, we had to detach to then come in fresh in February. So I think that right now guys are doing that. We've got some other guys that are dealing with some injuries from the season. We've got some other guys that are getting back to in Shohei as far as being a regular baseball player and not in the rehab mode. So all in all, we're in a good spot.
Which guys are dealing with stuff besides the guys that we kind of know about the stuff?
No, just some of the guys with the surgeries that they kind of went through and just kind of on the mend, Tommy and guys like that.
Do you have any more detailed, like Tommy surgery, like what the timetable is for him just to be back on the field?
You know what? Talking to the training staff, feeling like he should be with some limitations once we start in spring training, but talking to Tommy, he's expecting to be ready at the outset of the season.
Do you see it as a field outfield type, or is that the ankle going to limit him?
I don't think the ankle will limit him. I think that's going to be contingent more on the roster and where guys are at. I don't specifically, Sonia. I know that obviously the ankle, and it's been something to he had such a loose ankle that continued to sort of cause it to give way, and so they kind of tightened it up. So it should be fixed, but I don't really know. I don't want to speak to that.
Especially compared to the last couple of years, it's been a little bit quieter so far this offseason. Are you expecting you guys to make like big splashes? Do you feel kind of comfortable if you end up running it back with the same core group? Like at this stage, how do you just kind of look at where the roster's at? What you still might want to see this winter?
I think I was actually just talking to Andrew and Gomer recently, and we're very confident with where the roster is at right now. On the pitching side, the positional player side, obviously there's opportunities and potential opportunities to upgrade the roster, and we're always kind of looking to do that, but there's really no big splash we feel needs to be made, because this team is still focused and there's some talk about a 3-peat, so this is a focused team.
Do you want specifically in the bullpen, like maybe add someone that could be a 9th-inning option for you, like the bullpen group in particular? Do you kind of have that same feeling of like the internal options?
Yeah, I think if you're talking about a place of where we could improve, I still feel that last year was an outlier year for Tanner Scott. Not to say that he needs to be a dedicated closer, but I feel that he's going to be much improved next year. There are some things physically that he was dealing with, some that were talked about, some that weren't. But yeah, I think that getting a high leverage reliever is never a bad thing.
What gives you confidence in Tanner bouncing back?
What's that?
What gives you confidence in Tanner bouncing back?
I just think that there were just some things that he kept under wraps about his body, and I think that the transition to LA, and he just kind of thinks just anything that could go wrong went wrong. I just feel he works his tail off. He's too talented, and his track record was nothing like last year, so I just think it was an outlier of a season. There was some stuff that he just, honestly, Sonia, he never felt right all year. And there were moments where it looked right, he felt okay, but he just never felt comfortable. But he's never going to use that as an excuse, though. And to have a regular off season to kind of, prepare for 26, he's going to be on a mission next year.
Teo's name has come up a little bit, just as a name that could be on the move. How do you sort of see him fit, and do you feel like defensively he's still in a good spot in right field, or could he possibly shift over to the other?
Teo certainly fits. He's helped us win 2 championships. He's one of my favorites. Could he move to left? Potentially, but I will say, from my eye test, the last game in Colorado, the last time we were in Denver, From that point on, his right field defense was at least average. And so for me, that was sufficient with the bat potential. So we'll have conversation. But again, I do think that with the versatility potential and how we potentially shape this roster, there's some options. But right now, he's our right fielder.
Any clarity Yamamoto and Sasaki in the WBC? If they do, though, would you guys put more stringent limits on pitches and innings than the tournament rules?
I think there's no more clarity for us. Obviously, it's something that they both are excited about potentially. Obviously, the country of Japan excited. We have to have that conversation. But I would like to think that it's going to be a dialogue as far as restrictions and limitations, and in the sense of just trying to give them the opportunity, but also understand, they've come off some stuff, some long seasons, and certainly with Yamamoto and looking out for 2026. But yeah, right now there's no more clarity than we had before.
Dave, you recently said on a podcast on Amazon that you were in favor of a salary cap and a floor, and as a former player yourself, would you have been worried of all these talks of a salary cap and potentially a floor during your playing days, and how do you think your clubhouse will react to your stance?
Here's the thing. I'm entitled to an opinion, as we all are. And so I think that that's one man's opinion, and unfortunately, I don't have a vote. And so I still think the game is in a great spot, and everyone's winning. It's the greatest game, and it's a lot of fun. So for me, I'm focused on 2026, but I was asked a question, and I answered it honestly. But again, my opinion shouldn't move the needle. So there's people that are going to have those conversations. But for me, I love where the game is at. I love the game of baseball. So as far as your question about the players, each player knows how much I care about them, their well-being. So that would never, I'm not concerned with that at all.
Dave, as a man, though, not as a baseball player, but you said your offseason has been detached, you've been traveling. Like, how do you feel? I mean, people can't say nothing now. Like, you're you, and it's a little different. You know what I mean? Like, you feel different as a human being than you did at this point last year.
I kind of stopped worrying about what people thought. I really did, because, in our world, you can't win anyway. People are waiting for you to fall. That's the way it goes. They're waiting for controversy, right? So I'm happy with what we've accomplished. I'm very secure with who I am as a man. And I'm going to keep trying to do the best I can for as long as I can.
Dave, if there was a salary cap put in place, like how different do you think it would make things for you guys? Like obviously, people point to you and like the way you guys have spent is a reason why they should have a cap. Like, do you think it would be an added challenge? Do you feel pretty confident about kind of maintaining the success even in that kind of environment?
Honestly, I think that we have an organization that whatever rules or regulation constructs are put in front of us, we're going to dominate. And so I just give us the rules, let us know the landscape, and then I'll bet on our organization. So that's kind of the way I feel. And again, I don't make these decisions. So I coach a baseball team, and that's it.
Dave, that way we talk about just how important the depth of this organization is, especially on the starting pitching side. With guys like Gavin Stone, Rico Ryan, some of these younger players who've had these really standout kind of rookie appearances, how valuable are they going to be this upcoming season? Where are they just kind of when it comes to build up health-wise and back to surgery?
It's exciting. I think if it's easy to talk about the guys that we have sort of slotted in as far as starters, but guys like River, Gavin. 2 years ago, Gavin threw the most innings as a pitcher for us 2 years ago for a championship team. River is very talented, and so then you layer in on Robo and what he did for us, and Emmett Sheehan. So we got guys that are on the come, guys that have done it. So I just think, again, it just speaks to how well equipped we are for not only this year but beyond. But I'm excited for River. I'm excited for Gavin because, to see your teammates celebrate and go through what we went through and not be able to participate, those are things that we're all betting on for that extra hunger to kind of make their impact in 2026.
Do you expect Shohei to be used like in a normal rotation from the start of the season, or are there still going to be ways you guys will try to be a little more creative?
I think the thought is to have Shohei being used as a regular starter, but it's not going to be a regular 5-man rotation. I just think that I don't want to go down the 6-man rotation road, but I do feel that, giving him 6, 7, 8 days off to kind of allow him to continue to stay rested and build up, I think that's something that's in our process. But again, we have a long way to go, but we've got some viable candidates, certainly.
Do you know if Shohei will pitch in the WBC, or is he won't?
I don't, Alden. I'm hoping he doesn't, but I don't know. Shohei's he's very in tune with his body, and but I would say probably the thought is he's probably just going to hit, but I really don't know. I haven't talked to Shohei.
And in terms of just the bigger picture with your roster, how much of a desire do you think there is to get younger on the position players?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely a great thought. It's something that we do think about as an organization. I think that certainly, if you look at our farm system, I think we're certainly top 3, and a lot of that is weighted by position players in our system. But I do think that Dalton rushing, for us to move on from Ben Rortvet, speaks to Dalton's opportunity and what we think of Dalton. I think Andy is just scratching the surface. I think Alex Freeland is a guy that cut his teeth last year that I think that is very versatile, can do some things for our club. And, I still feel Will Smith is right in where he needs to be. But, yeah, I think that getting younger is something that we're talking about, certainly.
Dave, what role do you envision for Dalton rushing next season? Do you think he could play any other positions possibly?
We ran him out there a little bit at first base, but Freddie's a guy that, wants to be out there every day. But if there's opportunities to get Freddie off his feet, I can see Dalton playing a little bit of first base to spell Freddie. I also see him with Will Smith last year. I think last year you saw we cut back a little bit on his playing time, and I felt that he stayed strong throughout the entire season. I think there could be some more of that to give Dalton a little bit of runway and some opportunities. I thought he did a great job with the pitching staff. Dalton did. And I think that there's a lot more bat in there that he'll show in 2026.
Jake, to go back to Ohtani and the rotation a little bit, because of the amount of starting pitching depth that you have, do you think it's possible to not necessarily do a 6-man like you said, but maybe a hybrid where you're mixing in spot starts at least to start the year there?
You know what? I haven't, and I know our guys are starting to kind of have the conversation as far as early part of the schedule and off days and things like that, which we still got to get to that point with health. It's a thought. It's going to be in the conversation. We just have some guys that have earned opportunities to make starts. And if we feel at the end of the day, getting Yamamoto, Roki potentially, Emmett, Shohei some extra days rest, and there's not a cost, those are the conversations we're going to have. And again, we could have 2 off days in the first week of the season that I haven't really looked at right now. That could kind of influence that too. So I'm not sure how it's going to play out.
After 3 straight years leading an IL and still success, are you guys looking at any systems or changes to cut down on the injuries, or is it just happens?
You know what? I think it's happenstance. I think that, there's part of that is also driven by not trying to redline players to make a 3-week stint or a 15-day stint on the IL to not be a 60-day. So I think that, there's a lot of IL days, but I think that we're very in tune with how to ultimately get the guys as fresh and as healthy as possible in October. I think we've done a very good job of that.
How delicate of a dynamic is that, considering how
it's very delicate, and I know I don't want to be dismissive of what it means to them representing their country. I know the organization doesn't, but I do think that the conversations need to be had, will be had, as far as what each individual is taking on in whatever role that they might be taking on, and what potential costs there might be. And I think that at that point in time, then whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But you can't debate the emotion, what a player might feel of this potential opportunity.
Two more guys. Mookie Betts back to shortstop next year?
Yeah, Mookie Betts back at short. He was right there in that Gold Glove race, and I think the only person that could have felt that he had that in him was Mookie this year. So really proud of Mookie, what he did at shortstop, and even the last play in the World Series. He worked on that play a lot to not make that ball go arm side. So on the run, field it, runner bearing down on you to then throw it on the run and throw a strike to Freddie. So that's something that, just a little snippet of his growth.
Do you think another year, like a full year at that position, sort of help the bat sort of just come back now he doesn't have to worry about shortstop quite as much?
I think so. He certainly put a lot of time into shortstop and put in a lot of bandwidth, and it certainly worked because he was a lockdown shortstop for us. But he had a tough offensive year. He did. He's human, but it's easy to bet on a bounce back year for Mookie on the offensive side for sure.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.